it was just a very enjoyable season. Personality-wise, one of the best teams I've ever worked with. Just bring a lot of personality and fun to the team, off the court, on the court, so that was a lot of fun. I would say as far as highlights, we had quite a few. The beginning of the season started off really strong as we beat some really good teams. I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, but just building some confidence and stuff like that. Receiving votes for the first time in a while. That was a lot of fun as well, just to see our potential as far as the future and stuff like that goes. And then having a couple girls get honors, a couple girls get 1,000 points, getting into the conference tournament. So I think as far as, just looking on page and stuff like that, like we did have a really good season and a lot of promise for the future for sure. Even though I don't want to wait till the fourth quarter to come back, as a coach, seeing players not give up, I think is the first thing, and just really wanting to win and coming together as a team. And that was the biggest thing. They just came together. It wasn't much of what I said. It was just they made a decision. So having players like that on a team is something that is intangible for a coach. So we were able just to come together that way, and just watching them have one successful game that way, and knowing going into next games, if they are down, like it's not over, anything can happen. So I think that was good for us to have that at the beginning, to see that, even if you come out the first quarter and you're down, like you can still come back, which we did do next games after that as well. Definitely, like you said, a lot of challenges when you are in the Crossroads League on both ends in every single sport, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I love telling recruits and telling people when I'm explaining our conference that you are coming to play in the best conference in the nation, just as far as overall goes. So just be able to be a part of that type of competition, it doesn't get any better than that. It makes it tough, but it also, you want that when you're in a college sport to be competitive. And it was fun this year being in a spot where we did have a chance at the end, and obviously every game mattered for us. So being in that position, it was, like I just said, a lot of fun. I think, we have a lot of growth still to go, but being able to see that this year and being in that middle pack has, like I said before, has a lot of promise for the future. But it's just a lot of fun competing with, Marion, who is always going to nationals and in the top of the nation, like saying that they're in our conference, and we competed with them for the first game, at least, and a little part of the second game we played them. But so just little glimpses like that of our program is definitely getting there. I know it was tough their first couple years as far as wins goes and all of that, but being able to be a part of something that you look back and see improvement of, I think is a really fun thing. Even though it's hard at times, obviously, and there's a lot of rough points when you're part of a team like that. But I think, their character definitely shone through as far as, they were the reason the last few years is that we were building the way we were. And they had a lot of leadership. They contributed stat-wise on the floor, but also off the floor as well, to the type of culture that, as a coach coming in, that I wanted to create. And they had a lot of change. Even just my 3 years, we went through a lot of change as well as me as a coach. But their first year to their next year, changing coaches and stuff like that, they just bought in completely, which is all you can ask for as a coach. And they were just a big reason of, like you said, every single year of why we did improve. Nat Carpenter, pretty consistent throughout the whole year. Definitely point-wise contributed greatly for us, which is what we needed for her role to be this year. And just as a senior, it's fun for her to go out that way as well. And not just to get the points, but actually to be recognized for them in our conference, because we just talked about how good our conference is, and they have a lot of good individual players. So even to be able to get on any type of team 1 through 3 is a huge accomplishment in our conference. And then Danny Ellerbrock receiving honorable mention. I think she's shown growth throughout her freshman and sophomore year, and it's just going to get better for her next 2 years. So I think she'll be able to get even higher than honorable mention next year. But she brings it every single day, works hard every single day, is super competitive and really wants to win, and you can see that in the way that she performs. So I think a big part of her competitiveness, just received honorable mention because she's always in your face type of defender. So she's a lot of fun to coach as well. And then obviously Taylor Gregory receiving the Newcomer of the Year. I mean, that can be for transfers or freshmen. So for a freshman to actually get that award is a huge accomplishment. And I think that just goes to show, and it's really fun for me too to think she's only a freshman. We have her for 3 more years. But she's going to do a lot of good things in our conference and at this level. And I mean, she showed it, and I think she has potential to be even better than she was this year, and it's just going to get better every single year. The harder she works, which she has a really good work ethic. So I think just coming back next year, you'll see that she's been putting a lot of work in. Big strength for us is in our young classes. I guess now looking ahead, having Danny Allerbrock and Maddie in a junior class, I guess that's technically upper class, but our freshman class now, a lot of talent in it. And then even just thinking about the recruits coming in, we're going to be, again, a young, talented group. But I think that's also really fun to coach that way. They're ready to learn, they're ready to go. But at the same time, that can also be a challenge. This year, I think that was kind of a hindrance for us just because inconsistency and stuff like that. That was probably one of our biggest issues. And I think a lot of that has to do with the freshmen not really quite understanding what NAIA D2 basketball is until a certain point in the season. But at the same time, I mean, they were a big part of our success. So I think that, like I said, that was definitely a strength as our younger class, but the inconsistency was probably something that went against us at some points. But also, I mean, we were able to work through it for sure. Had a couple great games at the end of the season and stuff like that. But I would say as far as another hindrance, or challenge, I guess you could say, is we were injured a lot this season, which I know doesn't have to necessarily do with what you asked, but that was kind of tough to try to work through all of that with, everyone from freshmen up to seniors being injured and sick. Like, I haven't had to face a season like that yet. So that was something tough to work through on the coaching end of things, but also trying to gain confidence and continue to push the girls when we have 7 in a practice out of the 14 or something like that. So that's something that the girls definitely had to work through, and you saw other people step up when they needed to step up, and some of those people that stepped up were freshmen. So that's a promising thing as well. I did get away a little bit this past week to see my family and stuff, but otherwise, I mean, I think a day, maybe 2 days after, we were already on the road, going to some high school tournament games and stuff like that, supporting the girls that we've already signed and then trying to get the others committed and stuff like that. So looking at juniors, sophomores, so we've been on the road quite a bit already, watching some of those high school games. So from that aspect, it feels like it doesn't slow down because we're still on the road and we're still traveling. But obviously the everyday commitment's a little different. So that's been nice to kind of slow down and take a little bit of a breath, get a little bit more sleep. But we're ready to go as far as the off season goes, which is going to start soon. Well, we're going to start on Tuesday when the girls get back from class. And we're just going to go 3 days a week and work on a lot of skill development. I mean, every college player needs that, but I think being a younger team, you need that even more. So we're going to work on that a lot, have some open gyms, some strength training, because that's another thing. We just need to get physically stronger as well as mentally stronger being a younger team and stuff like that. So we'll be working hard still, but it won't be as intense, obviously. Just focusing, like I said, on developing as a team, but also really focusing on what every single person needs to get better. And then they're going to carry that over to the summer, work on their own. Then we come back here for open gyms, usually 2 times a month, I think it usually is, just to kind of see their progress and get together and play together. Then it's good, too, for the incoming class to be able to play with us and get to know the girls that way as well.